I got a mailbag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that. I think I opened one of these. I don't remember which one it was. So we'll see. I'll start with this one. It's move the stuff out of the way. A little bit of a pile going on over here. I got something else for the mailbag. Pipe connectors. Pipe connector. Says diameter 3 millimeter pipe connector. Alright, so this is like a 3-way pipe connector for 3 millimeter tubing, which is not the normal stuff you see. I don't even have. I don't know where it's at. It's a little thinner than aquarium hose. It's the next smallest size. I got that for trying to use some smaller hoses for some pneumatic stuff instead of the big aquarium hose. I think that's a 4 inner, 6 millimeter outer. This is 3/4, I think, or 3/5. I'm not sure. Yeah, it doesn't say. All right, next, USB cable adapter. Nope. Well, that's a cool card. I got these bright orange. The seller had green, blue. I wanted some neon greens and some blue, some oranges, but they were out of neon green. So I got these bright orange ones just because I always lose them. Everything's black. I have these ones in black, and I really like them. And these are actually nicer, I think. Well, they're a little different. They're not exactly the same, but these ones have a stamp mark on them. These do not. So these must be a cheaper or less expensive version. It's about the same beefiness. They're a little smaller. Feel a little smaller. But, I mean, you won't be able to miss that in your drawer. That's for sure. So those are some Spudgers. That's weird. This one's got a black in it. They must change over. Must have had some stuck in the interesting. Stuck in the mold. And they're really sharp, those ones, the plastic ones, but they don't really keep an edge. I don't think they're nylon. All right, next, UV detection light intensity. I've been messing around with light intensity and ambient light sensors, so I started picking up some different versions. This is a Keys GUVA S12SD. Looks like it uses some kind of photodiode or phototransistor. I can't really tell. It's almost like, looks like an LED. And then there's some kind of, is that a regulator? Not entirely sure. This is probably analog though, so I'll have to check that, play with that. I'll probably do a video of all the stuff I get. This says 24 12 volt to 5 volt input 4 channel. Oh, okay. This is a 4-channel opto isolator board. With plugs on it. So I thought if you're going to be interfacing some unknown system or different powered system, it'd be useful to have this in my toolbox so I can just build some kind of in and out box for it. And it supports up to 4 channels, which is, you could probably use 2 differential signals. So an RX and a TX, or some kind of balanced line transceiver. So I just thought that was a kind of cool breakout. Now, why would they bring the ground plane over across to the other side? I find that with a lot of these, the isolation is badly implemented. Like, they'll try to do isolation, but then they just have this ground plane poured all the way to the end. They should just left that empty. And the same thing under here. They put the ground plane to the middle, which is offset. It should be as far close to the edge of the chip as possible. Interesting. So I thought that was cool. Instead of having a breadboard something. 4 centimeter, 40 millimeter, 40 by 10 by 10. No idea. Apparently it's something 40 by 10 by 10. Small fan? Yeah. Small tiny fan. 40 millimeter fan by 10 millimeters. It's ducted on the side, so it's a side fan. I thought it's don't have many of these fans. Like, sometimes you'll want to put a fan on something that's in an enclosure, so you want to port it to the to somewhere else, not radial. So this is more of a blower, I guess what they call these. DC 12-volt fan. It basically just has it blocked on one side and a hole on the other, and it's got this kind of like not really a squirrel cage, but it's a different kind of fan blades that push the air in a different direction. That's interesting. Alright, next. Electrical equipment and supplies. Let me get this out of the way over here. Alright, so these are opto isolators. Just so if I prototype something and I want to actually put some on a board, I have some to, to wire up or put them in a... Let's see if it says what kind these are. So, probably the most common kind. There's one that's very common. These are through hole, though. I can't read that. C902, 817. 817 C902. This says BPC817, PC817. I think that's the model number. PC, that sounds familiar. Those are just optical isolators. They have basically have an LED and an infrared receiver or photo transistor all in one package. So there's an air gap between the two, or some kind of dielectric between the two, and it's rated up to, whatever the rating of the isolation is, 1 kilovolt, whatever it is, of isolation, joules and kilovolt isolation. That'll save you from lightning strikes if you have a sensor outside your house connected to something inside your house. And then you'll have to protect your power, any power lines. But your data lines, you want to protect a little bit more. DZ023. I think this is one of the ones I opened. No, it's just ripped. Something stuck to it. It's one envelope stuck to the other envelope. GY2551. Oops. This is another kind of light sensor. It's very small. TSL2561. And it is tiny. I think this is a TIL. This is like your run-of-the-mill ambient light sensor. Because it's digital, not analog. You don't have to deal with DAC in it. I mean, you don't have to deal with having an ADC to a high precision ADC. It's just I2C. So that's great for adding light sensing to any project on an I2C bus. They're a little more expensive than using like a photodiode or a CDS cell or something like that. All right, next, wax pencil. I think this is one of those wax pencils I bought, but just a different kind. Oh, it's all like bent and leaking out. What in the world? Like this? They shipped it like that? Really? It's like melted. Oh, gross. At least it's humongous. So I guess you're supposed to get it and cut it. Look, the whole thing melted. Alright, so this is... Let's go ahead and rip a piece of that off, because that's not going to work. This is like those other ones, but this is a little different. I think this can work like the other ones. I don't know how you sharpen it. I don't know if a pencil sharpener will work or not. Yeah, feels like it's a little dense. Okay, that's all I'm going to do for now so I don't make a mess. The good thing about this one is it's not white. It looks like it might be clear. Well, it's yellowed, but it might be clear. Let's see if it works as well as those other wax pencils. Well, we got some stuff in here. Oops. Get some components out. Right, let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. And it doesn't leave white like the other one does. This seems to... Oh, no, it just left a bunch of wax on there. I think if you sharpened it properly and it wasn't all mushy on the tip, like if you wore it down properly and polished it, sounds like they both work pretty good. I like that this doesn't leave a... seems to be a little more tacky. And these are the other pencils. I mean, these are much nicer to work with because they're wood. These are just wax, paper wrapped wax. But they both seem to work. So, you know, get one of each and try it out. Obviously, if these are cheaper and you can get 3 of them or 2 of them out of them, it's probably a good idea. You could probably get 2 of them out of these. Cut them in half for makerspace. And this is just a better, I just really like this better. Even though it might leave some white residue, that leaves no residue. Well, I mean, it leaves well, it's non-colored, it's a waxy residue. So, they both work pretty good. I've already used that one to place a couple components on an actual board. I will have to try the same with the other one. Put the stuff away. Nope. All right, on to the next one. This is a switch. These are tiny, tiny little SMD switches. Very tiny, the thinnest things I've ever seen. Maybe like 1.5 millimeters, maybe 2. They're membrane switches, but they're on a flat, very flat. So these would be for really thin keyboards with something that's going to push into the center. Okay, some kind of button. Or if you just didn't have very vertical space and wanted to put buttons on something. So the footprint's kind of big, but it's extremely thin, paper thin. They're very small. Those are neat. I've never seen those before, so I had to order some. PCB board. Probably hear my kitty and thighs playing, being silly. This is another light sensor. It says BH1750. It's got like a little package on there. It's really small. And it is also I2C. All these seem to have a transistor on them. I wonder why that is. Really? I have no idea. I was cleaning up, so I probably pulled out somebody's toy that's been hidden. And now they got to play with it and be silly. So there's a couple light sensors, 3 light sensors. I got them all in one package, so I'll be playing with those soon. That's all for Mailbag, but I did get, oh, and I got wax all on my, ugh, gross. Got wax all on my razor blade. I did get some glue. I need to glue something like this plastic to aluminum, to like a piece of pipe, but I want it to be airtight but also rigid so I can unplug it and plug it back in. So I'm trying to find an epoxy or a glue or an adhesive that does plastic to aluminum, and I might have to glue some silicone, which is probably impossible, rigidly so that it doesn't bend. Like I don't want to use silicone, but it needs to be rigid, but it also needs to be somewhat soft so that it seals, so it's airtight. So I got some goop, or E6000, which is the same thing, which is a pretty good all-around semi-flexible permanent bond. So, and then I got some of this blue RTV and red RTV. The red RTV is, I'm going to try to use in my toaster oven for my reflow. It's supposed to be high temperature. It's supposed to be good up to 343 centigrade and 650 Fahrenheit. Intermittent, but I'm not going to be running it for very long at anything over, 230. So this should be fine for sealing any holes in that. And then I got some of the blue RTV in case this is not low odor. I can't use that for something else probably, but for something that like this project, I'm gonna try that too, because it's a gasket maker. It should be rigid and flexible. So we'll see. And then I got some just Loctite vinyl fabric plastic. I figured it would be strong but flexible also. Methyl ethyl ketone. I don't know what the adhesive is, but that's probably the solvent. Clean up, acetone or nail polish, cured, cut away. Both sides of joint, hold together with tape. 2 hours. And I'll follow up with what I'm making on that. That's something to do with my pick and place, my vacuum pickup tool. Trying to make a different kind now. It's a little lighter and foot controlled with pneumatic solenoids. So I wanted to have a nice airtight system to play with, instead of just a syringe or something like that. So that's it for now. Till next time.